Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Yes, Wednesday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN. And my goodness, we have so much to do today. There is so much going on in the world of sports. We are extra fired up to be with you. Listen, this is the kind of day you absolutely live for. We have day baseball and really great day baseball and great baseball action today. We will give you some live updates and some live in-game bets, and we'll get into everything that happened in baseball with that wild game of the year between the Cubbies and the Dodgers last night. We are exactly 24 hours away from the NFL draft, and we have takes, we have plays, we have props. We have Mike Tannenbaum on the show today for an NFL draft preview. Buckle up, Buttercup. We'll get into everything going on in the National Hockey League, everything going on in the association. And let's start, as we mentioned, with the live baseball updates. And listen, we've got 4 games going on in terms of the day ball. You know how obsessed I am when it comes to day baseball. And we've got the Reds and the Marlins. And hey, the Cincinnati Reds, they are leading right now in the 7th inning by a score of 3-2. Another day, another base knock for Gavin Lux, who is on a 9-game hitting streak. Love watching the Reds play. Love watching them take care of business. And right now they are minus 540 to hold on and beat the Marlins. And I chuckle because that Reds bullpen has cost them a couple of games right now. Not that I'm telling you to bet on the Marlins, but I'm just saying, as someone who picked the Reds preseason to make the playoffs, nothing's in the bank until it's in the bank. Speaking of the bank, how about Aaron Judge? My goodness, Yankees and the Guards in action. Yankees are leading Cleveland in Cleveland as we speak, 4-1. That ball game is in the 6th inning. Aaron Judge hit a triple, which is noteworthy. Only the 6th time he's been able to hit a triple in his career. Ben Rice able to keep on keeping on at the dish for my New York Yankees. Rice piping hot. Rice sizzling. Spicy rice. Love it. Yankees needed this because, let's be honest, they have not been able to hit and have not been able to get a game so far in Cleveland. Welcome to Yankee baseball in 2025. There are going to be moments of jubilation, moments where it's complete frustration. Even today, I mean, Bellinger, Volpe, Jazz, just having some terrible at-bats and not cashing in early, even with the Yankee lead. Listen, we talked about this at length when Garrett Cole was out for the year, and Vegas continued to favor the Yankees and pick them as the favorite in the American League. I'm not saying it won't happen because the American League is weak, but this is not a classically great Yankee team in any way, shape, or form. There are going to be times when you believe, times when you frankly just absolutely want to pull your hair out. You know, the Yankees are not a juggernaut baseball team in any way, shape, or form. Still think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't view them as a team that is going to ultimately go to the World Series, despite being the favorites in Las Vegas. Padres Tigers in action as we speak. Former Yankee Gleyber Torres hit a home run. It's all Detroit so far, 4-0. The Detroit Tigers leading your San Diego Padres. By the way, lost in the shuffle perhaps from last night. And I remember we made a monster deal about this on a sizzling edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Nick Pivetta. Right, that was an unbelievable signing, kind of under the radar. Padres didn't get enough credit and respect for something like that. I thought that was one of the better moves of the offseason. Wasn't sexy, wasn't the equivalent of Blake Snell, but we love that move. He did a really nice job for the Padres last night. Tigers, Padres, couple of teams we loved in the preseason, really digging in season, and right now it is 4-0. The Tigers are leading the San Diego Padres. We will continue to update these games throughout. We'll tell you what happens, give you some live bets, get into everything that happened last night with the Cubs and the Dodgers and what is going to ultimately transpire when it's all said and done for the baseball games that are going to happen tonight. Really looking forward to that. Mets and the Phillies. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you take a look at what the Mets have been able to do. All they do is find a way to win. It's amazing. Right now, that game is knotted up with the Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Mets taking the first two games of this series. Did not anticipate that that was ultimately going to be the case. And the fact that the Mets jumped out to a 2-0 lead and the Phillies were able to score a couple of more and not this is puppy up, Phillies on the money line plus 105. I'm just saying. Well, we told you on yesterday's Sizzling edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein that the LA Lakers were absolutely going to stomp the hell out of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's exactly what transpired. 94-85 was the final. Lakers win, Lakers cover. We talked about it at length yesterday. It certainly went noted to me. It wasn't lost on anybody that the Lakers in game one favored by 4.5 points. They got stomped in that game, absolutely humiliated, and Vegas responded by making the Lakers a 6.5 point favorite for game number 2. But I understood it, because there was no way they were going to have a duplication of that slop and that nonsense and lack of toughness that we saw when you looked at game one on Saturday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Luka Doncic was on fire, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. He did a brilliant job not only scoring the ball, but getting everybody involved in terms of the flow of the offense early on. I thought that was a pretty monster deal and something that was very different from what transpired when you look at the early moments of the basketball game, even when the Lakers had a big lead early on Saturday nights. LeBron James was fabulous, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, had that key steal late, which I thought was a rather massive deal, and that was huge. J.J. Redick singled that play out at his postgame news conference. Austin Reeves, by God, that's Austin's music. After a nondescript no-show of a performance, really impressive stuff when you take a look at what transpired and everything that goes into the equation here for Austin Reeves. 16 points, 7 of 14 from the field, 5 assists. Hachimura was tough. Ridiculously impressed, ridiculously obsessed. It was like Kobe when he had the mask on and then he threw it. And the whole thing was just amazing to watch. And, DFS getting it done. Look, I hope you didn't hurt your back jumping off the bandwagon for the LA Lakers. I really hope that's the case. Because I told you, even after game one, listen, this team's got it going on. Look at the series odds. And, you could have gotten a really nice price that was plus money for the Lakers yesterday. I hope you jumped in. Listen, I still think the Lakers, when it's all said and done, they're going to be able to take care of business. They're going to be able to win this series. I said 5 originally. Even if you want to say 6 now, okay, great. I still wouldn't give up on 5. J.J. Redick and LeBron James postgame made sure to get everybody laser focused here on everything going on with how tough it's going to be playing starting Friday night in Minnesota. So I loved every single second of this, and, I'm not surprised. And this was the body of work, right? There were so many months and weeks of evidence. After the Doncic trade, the Lakers were unbelievable. So Saturday was a mess, but you had to anticipate that the Lakers, and look, Minnesota has real bigs. You can't fight that. You can't debate that, right? They have real bigs. But when you take a look at how this team has played big and played defense and how dominant they are scoring the basketball, couldn't believe how many smart people jumped off the bandwagon. And look at the Western Conference odds, right? And again, the Thunder are my pick, but we've been screaming for months now here on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Lakers and the Thunder will ultimately be the matchup. Western Conference Finals. And I really think that you are going to see the Lakers not only beat Minnesota, but beat the Golden State Warriors in the second round of the playoffs and play in the Western Conference Finals. Now, speaking of the Thunder, we had some fun with our guy, Zach Cohen, who liked the Grizz on yesterday's show. And I only laughed because, we had some fun with Z-Train. Can you pick OKC laying the 14.5? Yes, you can. And yes, you will. And yes, you should. It's kind of crazy. SGA hasn't even really gotten going yet. And this team is just destroying a rudderless, embarrassing organization like the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is going to be a sweep. We said that before the series started. SGA, 27 points, but he was only 10 of 29 for the field. He hasn't even really shot the ball at his MVP level yet. Jalen Williams was terrific. I loved his defense. I loved his offense. 24 points, 10 of 19 from the field, 6 rebounds. Chet's a freak, man. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 5 blocks. And listen, the Grizz are toast. Thunder absolutely going to sweep. I hope you got that before the series started when there was real juice attached. And listen, I think that the Thunder deserve to be the favorites. And, we got them preseason. We look at the NBA championship odds board. We got them preseason. We got them midseason. We got them. Everyone was messing around with the Golden State Warriors. And this is not some kind of fluke here. This team is special. And I love everything about OKC. Well, we nailed it on OKC last night. We did not nail it with regards to the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, I just checked my watch and it's broken. I mean, Damian Lillard, Dame time, absolutely non-existent. And this game, frankly, wasn't even as close as the final score indicates. And Indiana wins, Indiana covers. I agree with what Tyrese Halliburton said after the game. This is a rivalry. There's real hate, real bad blood. Giannis was terrific. I mean, Damian Lillard, 14 points, 4-13 from the field. Very, very rusty. Spicy P, Pascal Siakam, was tremendous. And Toronto fans know, NBA fans know, this is a champion, a winning ball player. Absolutely tremendous. Loved every single second of what transpired when you take a look at that. So I think that, listen, I shouldn't, in theory, give up on my pick before Milwaukee plays a game at home. But this was a tough one when you take a look at the series odds, a tough one to pick. Boy, I don't see how the Bucks get back in this one. And then we're going to have to start talking about ultimately how we are looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo wanting out. This is no good when you take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks and their present, the rest of this series, and the future.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
NFL Draft is one of the few betting events where the research beats the reputation. VSiN helps you cash in. VSiN Pro is amazing. Right now, get VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $59. A full summer of the sharp betting insights at half the regular price. With VSiN Pro, you're going to get daily best bets, including sharp insight into the NFL draft props, the real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, full access to VSiN.com's analytics and the betting trends and the expert breakdowns. From the draft to the Derby and beyond, every sport, every edge, one low price. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein, and we've got a draft in the National Football League. Let's go, baby. I am so fired up. I live for the draft. I love the reality TV element to it. And listen, I think there's so much at stake in this draft, and there are kind of a few cool things about this particular draft. Number one, every team is a first-round pick, and it's wild when you consider it. There's always trades in the past, or a couple teams have 2 or 3 first-round picks, or the Raiders don't pick until round 3. Not this year. Every team has their first-round pick. That could probably change, but I think that's pretty cool. Every fan base is engaged. This is one of the least sexy drafts I've ever seen, just in terms of skill position, wide receivers. Think about prior years, right? You had really good to great teams banking on the middle to the end of the first round or the beginning of round 2 to pick up a wide receiver who's going to be great for a specific team or for you for fantasy or daily fantasy or props throughout the course of the year. Think Jackson Smith and Jigba or Zay Flowers or, Lad McConkey or, Coleman or, someone like the X-Man, Xavier Worthy in prior years, where you see great teams that can make a run, finding guys like that late in the first round. Listen, I think only 2 receivers are going in the first round, maybe 3 at most. this is not a sexy draft, but we're going to see so many storylines, so much drama, and there is going to be just a ton of fun when you take a look at this upcoming draft. So I want to hit you with some of my favorite plays and picks and predictions. I've been talking to some people around the league about what I anticipate is going to happen, and we've been all over this. Jackson Darts will go in the first round. And, you know, you've heard some smoke recently over the last couple of days. Well, Jackson Darts is going to fall out of the first round. I don't see that. I know some smart people believe that. I think he's going in the first round. Now, we made the play when you take a look at Jackson Dart. We made the play that Dart's going to go in the top 10 at plus 600. We made that play. We've already put that in. And we believe that New Orleans will ultimately be the team that takes Jackson Darts with that 9th overall pick. We believe that'll be the case. Now, with that said, I think if he doesn't go to New Orleans, Pittsburgh's in play, but most especially the New York Football Giants. I believe that the New York Football Giants, when they go with Abdul Carter at 3, will trade back into the first round if, in fact, Jackson Dart gets past the New Orleans Saints. But I am making the play, and this is the one you really want to stress. Dart, second quarterback drafted, plus 200. Big believer here when it comes to Jackson Dart going in the first round and Jackson Dart going to a place like the Giants or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or at number 9 overall, the New Orleans Saints. Ashton Genty's going in the top 5. And you know, this is not a Johnny-come-lately take. I've been screaming this for a long period of time. And I think that Ashton Genty is the 3rd best player in this draft, pound for pound. It's Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty. I think Ashton Genty is going to be a rock star. He's going to have a Saquon Barkley impact on an NFL team. And here's what I believe when it comes to Genty. First of all, play it and going in the top 5. And there was more juice on this when we got it last week, but today it's up minus 160. I think that either the Bears are trading into the top 5, the Cowboys are trading into the top 5, the Raiders are trading into the top 5, or you're going to see the Patriots take them at 4, or most especially the Jaguars take them at 5. So that's where I'm at when it comes to Ashton Genty, who I think is going to be an unbelievable running back in the National Football League. Matthew Golden, first receiver off the board, and I'm going to go with that at plus 200. Listen, I think that Tep McMillan is going to be a borderline Mike Evans, and I think Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer, so I mean that as an ultimate compliment, but I don't think that McMillan is a 100%, no doubt about it, sure thing. Golden, you got the need for speed. Could be Dallas, could be Arizona. I think we're going to see a couple of tight ends, we'll get to in a second, drafted ahead of any wide receiver. So we'll go with Matthew Golden, first receiver drafted at plus 200. I am fascinated to see where Omarion Hampton is ultimately going to land. And I've heard as high as Dallas. I've heard don't rule out Chicago. I've heard Denver. I've heard there are some teams that don't even have him as a number 2 running back in this draft. Now, I'm going to make this play. Over 2.5 running backs drafted in the first round to plus 170. Now, I think this is a great running back class. In fact, I'll give you a prediction. We'll revisit on Monday. We will witness the highest number of running backs selected in the first 100 picks in the history of the NFL draft. And there are a lot of running backs that are going to help your favorite team that will be great for fantasy football, drafted in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. You want to pay close attention to it. But I think that Hampton will be picked in the first round, and I'm starting to hear some buzz around the Chiefs taking a running back. I think Chiefs can go best defensive player, go offensive tackle. Wouldn't be surprised if they picked the running back. So that's where we're at with the over 2.5 running backs at plus 170. I'm kind of obsessed with Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. I think both of these guys, how about this, are going in the top 10. And I think you should grab Tyler Warren to go in the top 10, minus 175. I think he is the perfect Jet. I begged the Jets last year, the old brass, to take Brock Bowers, and they didn't do it, and that was ridiculously problematic. And I think Ty Warren goes to New York, goes to Aaron Glenn, perfect for Justin Fields. I love that he wears number 44 in honor of my guy John Riggins, which I absolutely love. And I think Tyler Warren is going in the top 10. I think Colston Loveland is going in the top 10 as well. And you can get that right now on DraftKings at plus 550. And I'm telling you, scoop it up. Whether it's the Jets, whether it's the Carolina Panthers, whether it's the Chicago Bears, whether it's the Indianapolis Colts or the LA Rams, two teams that had major interest in Brock Bowers, trading up to get Colston Loveland, whether it's Jim Harbaugh trading up for him, I'm telling you, I think Loveland is going in the top 10. I love the juice there when it comes to plus 550 for our guy, Colston Loveland. We all know that Cam Ward is going number 1 overall, and Mike Bergonzi, the new general manager of the Titans, said there's consensus at his pre-draft news conference yesterday. So we don't talk enough about Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a star. Cam Ward is a stud. Cam Ward's going number 1 for a reason. I think he would have been the 4th quarterback picked last year, behind Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. My friend Phil Simms had him ranked 3rd. If you would have put him in last year's class in front of Drake May, I want to seize the moment, though, and grab the over for the Tennessee Titans win total, 5.5. I think Cam Ward, it gives the Tennessee Titans a real shot to be a respectable team instantly coming up in 2025. And finally, Jerry Jones says he's open to a trade. Okay, great. That means Jerry Jones is going to try and trade up for Ashton Genty, just to prep you for that. I also wouldn't be surprised if he dealt a day 2 pick for George Pickens. We can throw that into the equation. I want you to take a look at this board. Dallas Cowboys position of first player drafted. Conventional wisdom is wide receiver, and that is the odds-on favorite when you look at it in Vegas. Wide receiver. I am going to make a play. We'll put it up on the VSiN website with all the other picks on the running back position. I think that Hampton, if he's on the board, instantly steps into that team and becomes a Rookie of the Year candidate running the football for Brian Schottenheimer, who is going to want to run the ball to give balance to Dak Prescott. So I think conventional wisdom's on the side of the wide receiver, right? Obviously, Golden, I think will be in the conversation with his speed. Love him opposite of someone like CeeDee Lamb, but we'll make that play at plus 850 for a running back for America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The NFL draft starts tomorrow. VSiN knows every single pick matters. So tune in for 2 special live shows breaking down every single pick from a betting perspective. VSiN Primetime Draft Edition starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Cashing Out Draft Edition at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Plus, you can explore our NFL Draft Hub on the VSiN Watch app featuring exclusive analysis, team needs, and insights. Or visit the VSiN.com draft for full coverage. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Joining us right now live on the Progressive guest line, former Jets general manager and executive vice president of the Miami Dolphins, now a superstar on ESPN, my guy, one of my favorite individuals in all of sports for decades now, the great Mike Tannenbaum. Mike, how are you?
Adam, great to be with you. The feeling is absolutely mutual, my friend.
Oh, man, I love it. I value our friendship, and I love your takes, and always like your analysis when it comes to the NFL, and specifically, Mike, this NFL draft. And listen, I'm fascinated to get your take on the burning question and the drama attached to this draft. Where do you ultimately think Shedeur Sanders is going to go?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I just don't see how he's not a Steeler at the end of the day. I just think it makes too much sense for both sides. Now, is that a 21? I don't know that. But, boy, I just think if we were running the Steelers and we heard what Aaron Rodgers said on Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers deserves to go off in retirement. He's not ready to go. And we got DK Metcalf, we got George Pickens. We got to go get a quarterback. And to me, him and Shador makes a lot of sense.
We're on the same page, and I've been screaming Shador and Mike Tomlin and DK Metcalf and George Pickens for a long time. I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. I don't think that's a good fit for Pittsburgh. I don't think it's a good fit for him. And yes, he sounded retired or certainly not interested in Pittsburgh when he talked to Pat McAfee on Pat's Outstanding Show last week. So let's get into the Giants, who have been rumored and attached to Shador, and I don't necessarily think that'll be the team. I think it's Pittsburgh, and that's your take, my take, and now the odds-on favorite in Vegas. I think an ideal first round for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, Abdul Carter at 3, and I think he's going to be a stud, and that defensive line would be amazing. But they need to find their next young franchise quarterback. I mean, that's been a gaping hole for that franchise for a long time. A lot of mistakes they've doubled down on. I would trade back into the first round to get Jackson Dart if he doesn't go to New Orleans. What's your take on the Giants? How do they win, quote unquote, the first round of the draft?
I totally agree. Last year, 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12, and we'll see how J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, and Phil gets, when it's all said and done, how they play. But they could have been giants, and taking nothing away from Malik Neighbors, who's obviously a great player. I agree. Get the blue chipper in Abdul Carter. Boy, that would be great with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau and Carter, and then come back, get Dart, or if Sanders is within striking distance. The thing for them is Pittsburgh doesn't have a second-round pick, so strategically they may be able to go back up and get Sanders or Dart with Carter.
You made 2 of the best draft day deals in Jets history, among others, and you were always aggressive. Traded up for Darrelle Revis, who's in the Jets Ring of Honor and in the Hall of Fame. The Mark Sanchez deal was tremendous, and he was a really good, great player for you guys, and started in the AFC title game in a couple of years, and you deserve a lot of credit for that. Phone lines, according to your colleague Peter Schrager, our friend Peter Schrager, it's burning right now in the top 5 and the Browns and the Giants and the Patriots fielding calls. How likely, Mike, are they to ultimately trade out of the top 2, top 3, top 4 in this draft?
I think they do. I think what's instructive, Adam, if we go back 2 years ago, Will Anderson, you look at Houston, they went back-to-back. Stroud and Anderson, they had to give up a future 1 to go from 11-3 for a non-quarterback. I just don't know the team that's going to give up that sort of draft capital to go up to number 3. So I agree. If the Giants could slide back, would they? Probably. But I just don't know who's going to pay that bill. And I think it's like the first time in like 50 years, Adam, that we haven't had a trade yet in the first round. And I think one of the reasons why is there's this juxtaposition of you have Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, the 2 best non-quarterbacks. You have Cam Ward. I think a lot of teams, when you speak to them, feel like there's a lot of comparable players. So why are we going to go up and pay this massive premium where we could just, sit tight?
You nailed it, Mike. And listen, I happen to think that when you have Carter and Hunter, and I'd rank it Hunter and then Carter, they're the 2 best pound-for-pound players in this draft. I personally would put Ashton Genty 3rd. I'm also never against the first-round running back, and I think Genty is going to be special. I think he's going in the top 5, and I've been saying that for a while, whether it's Jacksonville at 5, whether the Raiders trade in. I think he'd be perfect for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. What's your evaluation on Genty, and where do you think he ultimately is going to go? Do you see a team trading up to get his services?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's great. 12 rushes over 50 yards, Adam. How about this stat? He has 1,700 yards after contact That alone would have led college football in rushing yards. That's really remarkable. And I just keep thinking about the Raiders. I think they've had a really good offseason. Pete Carroll's going to come in. He's going to stabilize things. Geno Smith's going to come in and stabilize things. If we were running the Raiders and saying, how in the world do we compete against Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert? Give the ball to Ashton Genty. Control the game through running it. So if I'm them, I'm a little bit worried. Does Jacksonville possibly take him, or does some team come up knowing that we would want him? So, do they flip 6-3? I don't know if you want to do that for a running back, but boy, you look at Saquon in Philly, McCaffrey in San Francisco, and if Ashton Genty is close to those players, that's a bill that may be worth paying.
Absolutely. I would certainly pay it. I'm curious to get your take, and I think we're going to see a ton of running backs go on day 2 and round 4. I think we might even have a record set for running backs being selected in the first 100 picks. There's depth here. But how many running backs in this class do you have first-round grades on? How many do you think ultimately go in the first round?
Yeah, 2. It'd be him and Omari and Hampton. Hampton's a little bit bigger at 220. I could see him going to Denver. I think he's a Sean Payton back because he could pass protect, he could catch. And if we're building the Saints out west with Denver, we're looking for Alvin Kamara. You may have that in Omari and Hampton. But, boy, those 2 Ohio State backs are great. Sean Jenkins and Travion Henderson. I love Caleb Johnson from Iowa, Cam Scadaboo from Arizona State. We could keep going on. Dylan Sampson, Tennessee. There's so many good backs, but 2 in the first round.
Jalen Milroe is going to be in the green room tomorrow night. But, Mike, I don't see any way he goes in the first round. I mean, there were some games, and, he was just not any good down the stretch of the season. I acknowledge the talents. I acknowledge the upside. How do you project Jalen Milroe as an NFL quarterback?
I think there's a lot of comparisons to Jalen Hurts. Here's somebody that threw 44 touchdowns, ran for another 30. 20% of his runs were for 10 yards or more. He's explosive. He needs to get more consistent. We saw that in Mobile. When you talk to the teams that interviewed him at the Combine, they were blown away by his intelligence. They were blown away by his character. And to me, if you could get him in the second round and maybe sit him for a year, much the way Jalen Hurts sat for a year, again, the quarterback position is developmental. You look at guys like Geno Smith and, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, they took some time. So to me, go get a guy like Milroe with great upside, great character, but maybe not play him right away.
That's an excellent point. 1 minute to go, Mike. You were with Aaron Glenn as a player when you were an executive with the Jets. I love the hire. How is he going to put his stamp on this Jets team? What do you expect the Jets to do in the first round of the draft?
I think he already has. He cut Aaron Rodgers. He's going to add, productive, tough-minded players, which is what Aaron Glenn was, Adam. And I think you're going to see players that I think this is going to be Detroit. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be tough, well-coached, physical. I think they'll cut down on turnovers. They're going to cut down on penalties. I think they're going to be one of these teams, Adam, when we're talking in October, November. They may not have the best record in the NFL, but they'll be one of those teams we're saying, wow, no one's going to want to play the Jets right now because they are a tough out and very physical.
I love that. Yeah, I've been campaigning for Aaron Glenn to be a head coach in the NFL for a long time. Thrilled that he got his opportunity in New York with the Jets. Mike, you're the best. Keep up the outstanding work, my friend, and enjoy the festivities in Green Bay tomorrow.
Okay, thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Adam.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
ProfitX is offering the best odds all baseball season long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states. First of its kind in the United States. You're going to be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download the Profit X today with the code VSIN. Earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. Welcome back. Make it rain with Adam Schein. News, notes, nuggets, nightly plays, and let's check in on some of the day baseball that we love this afternoon as we have 4 games that are in progress. Reds and the Marlins going on as we speak. We're going to the bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth in Miami. You can feel the anticipation from here. Reds leading the Miami Marlins 5-2. Gavin Lux with another base knock. That obviously continues his hitting streak. He is now at 9. Love watching Gavin Lux rake. Was happy he got that ring last year with the LA Dodgers. Always been a major fan of Gavin Lux. How about the Yankees and the Guardians? That is also going to the bottom of the ninth inning. Yankees desperate for a win after the rough couple of games and losses to start the series, losing a couple against Cleveland, and this is the getaway afternoon game, and Yankees making sure they're en route to getting one, and obviously, got to wait and see, what happens if, Devin Williams is in for the Yankees, so buckle up, Buttercup. Yankees leading the Cleveland Guardians by a score of 5-1. Mets and the Phillies. This has been a fun one this afternoon in New York. It is a sun-drenched day here in New York City where we're broadcasting today live for Make It Rain with Adam Schein. And it is 2-2, top of the ninth. The Mets jumped down to a 2-0 lead. All the Mets do now is win. Philly was able to come back in this one, and Bryce Harper is at the dish, so we will keep you updated if anything interesting and noteworthy happens in that one. And, of course, last but certainly not least, you take a look at everything that is going on today in Major League Baseball, and it is a wonderful day for the Padres and the Tigers. Tigers able to take care of business today. Excellent stuff here for Detroit. And listen, I'll tell you, if you are a Tigers fan, if you are a Padres fan, you have to be thrilled, absolutely thrilled where your baseball teams are right now. So that one goes in the books, literally just went final. The Tigers able to beat the Padres. Reese Olson shutting down the Padres, 7 1/3, 2 hits. I mean, just a beautiful performance today from our guy, Reese Olson. Listen, if we're talking baseball and we're obsessed with baseball, I got to say that Cubs-Dodgers game was the game of the year in Major League Baseball. That was one of the craziest, zaniest, most amazing games. We talked about it yesterday while we were so pumped up to watch it. It's almost like you forget, Shota was pitching against Ohtani, and, it's incredible the way he's just owned Shohei and the back and the forth and everything that transpired. And, Kyle Tucker, my goodness, this guy is unbelievable. I love watching him get it done. And how about the home run that the Cubbies hit? I mean, yeah, if you're a Dodger fan, Dodger better. He had a money line minus 115 down to their last out. Bam! Home run against Tanner Scott. Cubbies able to walk it off and win in extra innings. Up, down, back, forth, left, right, up, down. 11-10. And I'll tell you, I mentioned Kyle Tucker. We have a lot of Cubs fans who watch the show. Hey, and I'm a Yankee fan. I would love Kyle Tucker on my baseball team. Would love him on the team. That was the move of the offseason. And the Ricketts family needs to give him whatever the hell he wants. And I'm not saying more than Juan Soto, but, use Vlad and use Soto as, a conversation jumping off point. Tucker's a great outfielder. He is a great base stealer, great in terms of batting average, tough clutch, power unbelievable. Still can't believe the Astros traded him. And the Cubs need to make sure they take care of business and keep him for a long time. We got another game tonight with the Cubbies and the Dodgers. That's going to be a lot of fun. Listen, this is always the week where baseball kind of, I don't want to say fades away, but it's NFL draft, NBA and NHL postseason. This series, this game has my attention with the Cubs and the Dodgers. We said it last night. I'll make it rain with Adam Schein. We'll say it tonight in preparation for the Cubs and LA. NBA playoffs tonight, Magic, Celtics. And it's interesting when you take a look at the point spread in this one, 10.5. And I'm not playing this but my lean is on Orlando tonight. I think that it would be a very easy scenario for Boston to kind of lollygag in this one. Orlando with Boncaro and Wagner, they've got dudes. Celtics, Pritchard and White will always play great and play hard. Tatum, I could see this being, an extra day off, kind of just taking it slow. Brown's back, not 100%. They clubbed Orlando in the first game. I'm not playing this one. My lean is on grabbing the points with Orlando. How about the Heats and the Cavs? Or how about not? I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to torch the Miami Heat once again. And I know it seems disrespectful to say, an Eric Spoelstra coach team is going to get steamrolled. Well, they will. And, Garland's been terrific. Mitchell had 30 in the last game. Ty Jerome sent it in Jerome, and he did early and often in that fourth quarter. Mobley's terrific. Kenny Atkinson is the coach of the year. I love what I'm seeing from the Cavs, who I believe are going to sweep this series. And I think that this is going to be just absolute cakewalk. And this is going to be easy street. And I think that the Cavs, and you can get it right now at plus 125, bust out the brooms. They will sweep away the Miami Heat. Warriors-Rockets tonight. And remember, it's a 2-7 matchup. And you almost have to remind yourself of that because, Golden State's the heavy favorite. I mean, am I going to take Golden State on the money line? Yes. Yes, I will. Do I expect Golden State to win again in Houston? Yes. Yes, I do. I mean, the young cats for Houston struggled mightily. And, maybe they get better now that they have a game, playoff legs underneath them. But it's still, you have to do better than Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green in the playoffs. That's a Herculean task. I said Golden State in 6. I'll stay with it. Wouldn't even be surprised if it turned out to be 5. Good juice on that, a plus 370. And when the Warriors win, and look at what that number is right now. It's minus 380. It was minus 200 going into the start of the postseason. Listen, it's going to be the summer of Durant for the Houston Rockets after they lose in the first round. How about the NHL last night? Panthers, Lightning. I was dead wrong on this one. And Chuck was back. He was able to score in his return. He was absolutely sensational. I thought the Lightning would win. And listen, they were heavy favorites last night. Look at it on the money line. If you had Florida, I mean, that was a tremendous pick and a tremendous play by you. Panthers, Lightning should be an excellent series. When you look at the series board, I have Tampa winning in 7. We will stay with Tampa winning in 7 at plus 450. By the way, what was wild with the Wild and the Golden Knights? I was asleep. The puck dropped at 11:15 Eastern time. I didn't even know that was a real thing. Nice job getting buzz on the East Coast, Gary Bettman. And by the way, the Vegas Golden Knights, they've got a shot to make a real run here. Maybe the Minnesota Wild should play every game after midnight. I don't know. They tell me the final score was 5-2. I was asleep. I didn't see it. Unbelievable. What I did see, the Leafs able to survive the Senators in overtime. My Leafs, Max Domi with the game winner. Johnny Toronto, John Tavares getting it done. Excellent stuff here from my Toronto Maple Leafs. Time right now to give out our best bets, brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. G-Bank up in the old ante with the $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First new customers who spend $1,000 on the eligible purchases with 90 days from account opening get a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads in the first 30 days of the account opening, you'll get another $500 bonus, $750 bonus potentially. It's pretty great. Go to VSiN.com/GBank, VSiN.com/GBank, subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Let's just lock this puppy in. We had that great spot with Mike Tannenbaum. How about Shedeur Sanders, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, plus 170? It just makes too much sense. Right after us, I'm going to be watching Follow the Money with Mitch and Paulie. And I do that anyway, right? That's part of my normal routine. They've got Matty Humans on. And I'm telling you, go to VSiN.com if you haven't yet and read Matt Human's mock draft and all of his props and predictions. It is unbelievable stuff. You're going to learn a lot. It'll tell you where to place your money. Mitch and Paulie got it going on as always. And Matty Humans, you gotta love sports. Thanks to Sean and all our guys in Vegas, our incredible producer, the great Mike Cohen. Talk to you mañana. Make it rain with Adam Schein.